This is CloudIQ. Welcome to CloudIQ. So I talked about the fact that we are fully agile. We are deploying new content all the time. I have a special demo for you to include the VMAX, the PowerMax, and the other VMAX systems. This was actually an offline simulator that we put together for Dell Technologies World. So that's why it has the date of April. But this feature in general is designed to allow customers to always know what the latest and greatest is that they're getting in CloudIQ. I'm sorry, it just occurred to me, Renee, I didn't get back to you for your question.
So I was wondering about the health score, if that was universal across all customers, or do you have different profiles for different customer types?
The health score is universal across all customers, but will be adapted for different product lines as needed.
Okay.
So the health score, the rules that are set up for Unity systems will be different than the rules that are set up, for instance, for VMAX.
Yeah. And one question from Twitter, from Rob Coper, was when will Isilon Avamar data domain be added to CloudIQ?
Tell Rob that Susan said hello again, and we're still working on that.
He's watching the feed. You're talking to him directly.
Hello, Rob. Hello, Rob. It's great to, I'm glad you've tuned in here. Sorry you're here with us. And we know that Isilon is near and dear to your heart. You have my email, and we can follow up on that offline. But I'm really glad you've joined. It's late and wherever you are, I can't figure out where you are, in the
He's
Netherlands,
home in the Netherlands. He's actually spraying the lawn, but that's fine. Okay. He'll catch it in the recording.
All right. Any other questions that are coming in? Okay, we'll go back to the demo then. So this is the what's new in CloudIQ. You can always access that, again, by clicking on the new button here. So this is our landing page, and the whole goal here is that we wanted to make it real simple to see at a glance, was there anything that you needed to take action on in this environment? So this is summarizing across all 4 system types that we've talked about, Unity, SC, VMAX, and Extreme IO. And one day, Isilon, hopefully, all right. So from here, if I wanted to know more about what was going on, first of all, you can simply hover over these. You can jump into one of those systems to immediately take action. I happen to want to show you a different view, so I'm not going to do that, but I think that would be the most common workflow there. And our thinking is that typically all the systems would be in a good range, and this is really the whole manage by exception, where you can see the 1 or 2 systems that maybe aren't in such a great range of health. I'm going to get to the other summaries in just a moment, but let's stay focused on health here. So I can jump in this case. You can see here the legend, the main point that we're getting at is whether poor is 0 to 73 or 60 or 20. The point is I like to talk about these as small, medium, and large issues. And so we want to make sure that the large issues get customers' attention right away. I like to say, for these issues, these are don't pass go, don't collect 200. These really need to be dealt with right now, or certainly by the end of the year, end of the day. The other thing that I want to point out, now that we've talked about that, I'll dismiss that. I want to point out that you can see here in the single pane of glass for these scores, everything from a little bitty software-defined Unity VSA, Professional Edition, but Unity VSA, all the way up to the brand new shiny PowerMax. You can see in this one single pane of glass the various scores. These are these different categories that we talked about for the health score. You can see the PowerMax. You can see the.
So the numbers under there are the actual point decrements for each of those features. Like for the remote DC over there, there's 15 points reduced. No,
it's a penalty. That's right.
So we'll go on and jump to how we did that. So we felt like one uber 30-point issue needed to be more important than 6 little 5-point issues. We didn't want what we referred to as death by 1,000 cuts. So the scores are actually, as this gentleman was just realizing, the scores are actually based on where is your greatest vulnerability that you need to address right away, and that's really how that's based. Let me pause and say that this is simulator data. Mostly defined by me. And what I like to say is it's artificial but realistic information, really intended to show how CloudIQ would work. And so we actually created these to be able to illustrate that. Does that make a little bit more sense now?
So I was wondering whether the score should add up to whatever, so You've got a minus 15 and a minus 5, which is minus 20 points, but you're at 85%.
That's right. And I really do know how to do basic addition, I promise.
Good.
So the point here is our point is saying your biggest vulnerability, this is your biggest vulnerability and what you need to fix.
That's what you need to focus on. I got you.
Okay, cool. All right, so, and then just completing the picture, we also have some of our Extreme IO systems here, some SC systems. And so this was the main, this is the vision of what we're building in CloudIQ. Not only the great health score capabilities and analytics capabilities, but now to be able to see those across your entire storage environment. I'll give you a couple of examples that you've already picked up on some of the main points that I was going to make, but I'll just jump in and illustrate. So this is an example of a storage system. We've talked about the legend, so let me clear that off. Where using our predictive analytics, we know that that pool is predicted to run out of space within a month. So call that a medium problem. Doesn't have to be fixed by the end of the day, but you don't want to let that go too long. And it's oversubscribed. If it weren't oversubscribed, it wouldn't be a problem, but it's the fact that it is. So you can click and open that, and there's a pretty easy, simple remediation. You either make the pool bigger or take things out of the pool. By the way, CloudIQ, I think I said this before, but users will use their support credentials to access CloudIQ, separate credentials from Unisphere, and that's purposeful. Okay. CloudIQ is effectively read-only, ubiquitous access through HTML, just providing those secure credentials. For actually making changes on array, you probably want a different set of credentials. You want a different level of security. So you can easily launch into Unisphere and perform those actions, but you'll need to provide those Unisphere credentials for that extra security.
So what's a minus 6 for configuration?
I'm so glad you're interested. That's where I was going to go next in my demo. Perfect timing. So then I click there, and this is a situation, I made reference to this earlier, where I have hosts that have lost their HA connectivity. And so in this case, this is the specific host that's lost the connectivity. And so at that point, really all we can say is please check your zoning. This is all from the view of the storage system itself. The other thing in the numbers, it's the simulator, so the numbers, I can't have all the numbers add up perfectly because it wouldn't leave you anything to catch on me. But what we also have is a history of issues that have occurred. And especially, we said this earlier, if you think about hosts and HA connectivity, sometimes that varies to be, or that ends up being an intermittent problem. And so we can provide that history where you can say, wait a minute, I just thought that it had an issue here, and now I'm looking and it doesn't. Or, wait, I thought I fixed that last week. What's really going on here? So we provide this history of any of the issues in the storage environment.
Hey, Susan, I have a question.
Please, sure.
By collecting all this data, how much data do you actually get back at Dell EMC that you could use this for the sales cycle to say, hey, we notice customer XYZ keeps having overcapacity. We need to get a sales rep out there to talk to them about upgrading their capacity.
So the sales organization would love for us to do that.
But as a customer, that would annoy the crap out of me.
You said it perfectly for me, Howard. Thank you very much. And so our compromise for that, and I'll show this to you in just a moment, our compromise for that is we have a way for customers to choose who from EMC can see their views of CloudIQ. We have many customers who say, I really want my helpful SEs keeping a helpful watch over my environment. Great. We have a mechanism for them to do that. But the key is the customer controls that. So we don't provide that to the sales organization. So breath of relief from Howard, I hope. So, or maybe not even breath of relief, maybe just exactly what he expected is the answer.
Oh, yeah. Big Brother only gets to look at what I tell Big Brother he can see.
All right, I'm quoting you on that.
Go for it.
No, that's helpful. I mean, we understand that. The point is we really take the data governance, data sovereignty very, very seriously.
And of course, the whole thing is optional, right?
Absolutely, it is.
Because I have had some clients like the Mars Candy Company who would not be interested in you having any data about their stuff at all.
Yes, we've talked to other customers who have special super secret recipes that they do not connect those systems even to SRS for that reason. So
I had
I hear you.
It was like we had to fix a printer. They rolled it out in the hall.
Okay. I'll just quickly give by purpose of comparison. This is another system, similar issue, but in this case, the storage pool is all the way full and oversubscribed. I said this earlier, it's universally true. The next write is going to be a DU. This needs to be fixed right away. And so the point deduction obviously is much more severe. And that was really the point that I wanted to make, is we do have intelligent weighting of the point deductions depending on how quickly action is required.
Now, you had a performance category up there. I didn't see any problems with performance, but you indicated that it could be high CPU utilization and controller imbalance.
I did indicate that. So I can tell I'm not going to get away with anything with Ray. So performance was the most challenging for us to come up with universal health checks. Because, like I said, performance is so subjective and there's so many different business practices. So what we decided is we feel like it's universally true that if you have a storage system where if there's low CPU utilization, you don't have anything you need to worry about anyway. So don't worry about that. But as the numbers get higher and higher, well, I don't know, maybe you do need to worry about it. But our thinking was that as the numbers are really getting pretty high in terms of the CPU utilization, if the SPs are...
You're talking about CPU utilization within the controller, not at the host level.
That is exactly right, yes. Yeah. Okay, so I won't continue on that. It seems like we're good on that. All right. I'm looking at the clock. I'm hoping maybe I get a few extra minutes since I started a little bit late. But I think right now we got the idea on the health score, and I want to hit at least a couple of the analytics features that we have just so you get a sampling of those. So I'll move on to that. Like I said, we'll have hopefully plenty of time to talk later with any questions you have. So I'll shift over to the systems with performance anomalies summary. As the name suggests, that's summarizing the number of systems that have that particular type of have an anomaly for that particular metric. So just kind of walking through, this is the way we built out this part of the demo. I click here, I can see the name of the system with that anomaly, and I can advance onto that system. I can see the top contenders, so to speak, the top, the heavy hitters here for each of these performance metrics. And so first of all, I'll demonstrate, let me make that a little bit smaller. First of all, I will demonstrate that how the actual anomaly detection happens here. So I have a couple of metrics. I can see the gray shading that identifies what the normal activity is. So there's always going to be spikes in the environment. There's the Monday morning boot storm. There's the Friday morning report generation or Friday night antivirus kicking off. But as I keep going down, this was the metric that it said, the latency. So this is where we have that anomaly in the environment. So this is where that activity went outside the normal range. Again, this is based on a learning algorithm over a 3-week period to identify what's normal for that time of day and day of week.
Now, Susan, is it only just 3 weeks, kind of like the PowerMax? You guys only retain 30 days of data, or is it longer?
Let me differentiate those two things. Great question. So in CloudIQ, we retain data for a 2-year period. The algorithm itself is based on a learning algorithm over 3 weeks. So it is quite possible that if this can become the new norm in 3 weeks from now, this is in a gray area. Because
so it's constantly upgraded every 3 weeks.
It is. It's a rolling 3-week. Yeah. Yep. You got it.
Every day.
It's incorporating it. Yeah. It's incorporating it that way. So the main point that I want to make here, though, is you can click anywhere on the graph that you want, but I'll click on the anomaly. And then to the left, we will provide the corresponding storage objects that are also experiencing the highest performance in that selected time frame. So by clicking on that, you can see, and again, I did say this is simulator data, but I can see here a clear outlier in terms of that particular object. So then we make it real easy to click on into that individual object. And lo and behold, if I were to remove the other metrics, you can see pretty clearly, or you can just scroll down. But lo and behold, this is the storage object that was experiencing such a high anomaly that then it resulted in that anomaly at the system level. So that's, first of all, that's the kind of learning algorithm that we have in CloudIQ, and also the way that we have of being able to associate that data all the way from the system level down to the individual storage object level. We also show anomalies at the pool level, but I think it basically looks the same as what I showed you at system. Any other questions? It would be the same with the other system anomalies. I just happened to pick this one. Say again?
I know it's fake data, but I still want to know what caused it.
You still want to know what caused it? Well, and so I understand. I understand why you say that. And all I can say is this was our starting place for this view.
Fair.
And we are going to be very, very soon providing more and more information that will give you those insights. So
Yeah, Susan decided she needed a red blip, so she put one in.
I think that might be the
That
answer.
was it.
I think I'm going to go on to the next feature. I think I think you got what I wanted you to on this.
Do you
Yes, sir.
provide like CSVs or Excel spreadsheet versions of this
So
data?
glad you said that.
And you have like a RESTful API access to this?
All good questions. So first of all, I didn't show this, but let me comment on this. In this particular view where I'm providing this summary data, and by the way, we focused on it at the health level, but you could also look at it across your configuration, across your capacity and performance. You can look at it in a tabular fashion, and you can export all of this content to a CSV. Where we started with the export to CSV is most anywhere where there's a list. And I know this doesn't look as much like a list, but if I click this button, it will. And so wherever we have lists of things, we felt like that was the most natural thing to cater to and export. From there, we have had requests to then export some of the graphs that I just showed you. And what was the phrase that I used? We're actively working on that as well. So stay tuned on that.
What about email notifications?
So glad you asked about email notifications. I'm actually going to go to that right now. So I talked about the proactive health score and the fact that we're running those health checks whenever we collect that data. Effectively, most of those health, I did say down, you were asking the math in terms of the number of health checks. Effectively, the likelihood of systems changing scores or the issues being raised just based on the performance or the behavior that we've seen is effectively once an hour. So one of the things we've also said is, hey, customers probably want to, well, first of all, let me start here. So for email notification, we added in a digest, and you could select whether you want that on a daily basis or a weekly basis. So we added in that digest. And customers could subscribe to that for either way that they wanted to. It included things like health score changes, if different users started accessing your CloudIQ environment and so forth. But then we decided, customers actually said, I'd like to know sooner than every 24 hours if there's been a change in my health and my environment. So then we added this capability where users can subscribe to health changes. Effectively, the most granular this would be once an hour, because we don't want to just bury your email. So the most granular would be 24 basically times per day, once an hour, or you can change that number to a smaller number. And also you can opt in and out per system, because you might say, hey, for my 2 dev systems, I don't need the email notification, so we'll eliminate those 2 from the hourly email. I'll still get that information in my summary, in my daily summary. But wait, there's more. Also, in the mobile app that I'm going to get to in just a moment, if I get that time, or later tonight, I'll show it to you. We also have health scores on the mobile app as well. So we think it's real important to give you that information.
And you already talked about providing reporting to management as well, right?
Well, so we don't have different views. You could do that right now. That our customers are using the export function to then adjust and filter the data that they want to, and then provide that in their reports. We don't have a separate management view in CloudIQ today, but we certainly understand that use case. So we'll have that at some point, but we don't have that today.
Any other external integrations like Slack, Jira? So when I hit that red alert, that I get a ticket open, because some places are actually much more present monitoring that, and mail is not the.
I neglected to get to the API part of your question. I apologize. That fits into we fully understand the use cases. It's on our radar, but not currently in action.
Okay.
Right. Yep. One other thing, I sort of made reference to this a moment ago. This is the user community in CloudIQ. And so the person that I am in CloudIQ is Mary Kimball at the company called acme.com. And I have 2 other team members who don't quite use CloudIQ as often as I do, but I can see when they last logged in. We also have a capability for customers to invite partners. Now, we, CloudIQ, don't have a way to validate whether that's a legitimate partner or not. So our requirement for partner access to CloudIQ is that they be a part of the customer site ID. But we can validate Dell EMC employees because based on their email. And so this comment was made, we talked earlier about making sure the customers are the ones who can control access of who sees their CloudIQ views. And so you would simply come into the Trusted Advisor access and type in the name of the individual. This is usually cached on my computer, and then just provide their Dell address. This doesn't work in the simulator, so I can't proceed from here, but you understand how that would work. And so again, that's more the Trusted Advisor, kind of the long-term user, et cetera. So thanks. Two last things that I want to mention. I talked about the predictive capacity analytics. So this is where we provide a nice, helpful summary. I can click and I can see the pools that are predicted to run out of space within a certain time frame. This is the one that's oversubscribed. So that's the one that generated that health issue, the 10-point health issue. The other ones aren't oversubscribed, so no issue there. But if I click into that pool, I'm going to go through this pretty quick just because of the time left. I can see not only, and again, simulator data, so it's kind of flat, but I can see not only the time or the trend, but I can see the actual date that it's predicted to full. But if it's a learning algorithm, it's not going to stay still and stuck on that particular date. It's going to learn and adjust according to time. So we wanted to provide this prediction range to indicate for users, hey, this could fluctuate based on what we learn going forward. But based on what we know now and what we know over the last period of usage, this is our prediction. So there are many things that we're working on providing to customers to help them, this fitness tracker, to help them make sure to minimize risk, to avoid running out of capacity. One last thing I'll show in the demo, and then I'm going to go back to the slides. We very much welcome feedback. Now, this also doesn't work in the simulator, but we have a feedback mechanism built into CloudIQ. And when customers give us feedback, it goes to the leadership team, of which I am a part because I'm the product manager. And I'll just say that if I haven't responded within not even 24 hours, more like 10 hours usually, I'll say they gently nudge me to respond. And we all pitch in to do that together. Our goal is that we're responding to customers within 24 hours. And a lot of times that will result in a follow-up session to clarify use cases and also then sometimes show mock-ups of designs and so forth that we're looking to present.
What is the release rate of features for CloudIQ?
The release rate can be as granular as 2 days. We push to production every Tuesday and Thursday, but that depends on how big or small the feature is. We do commit on a monthly basis new content within the program. So basically continuous delivery.
How big is your development team?
The development, that's a great question. I don't even remember off the top of my head. We have a core development team, and then we've brought in the Scrum teams from the other teams. I'm going to say we're beyond 100. Is that a safe assumption? I'm checking in the 100-ish time number range.
Right. And the data that you retain, how long do you keep the data for?
We keep data for 2 years.
Okay.
We do.
And are you averaging, so 30 days?
Oh, good question.
Discrete?
So for the performance data, we are kind of averaging that out. We're harvesting that out over time. So, we collect every 5-minute interval, but we don't keep the 5-minute intervals for 2 full years. Yeah, so we harvest that out over time. And if you wanted to know more details on that, I can detail that. But I'm getting the winded up message, so I want to do that. By now, you've taken a look at the kind of content we have in the mobile app, mainly focused, very similar to what you saw in the overview page, same purpose. It's the main stuff that you need to be aware of in your environment. And if you want to see more about that, again, I can show that to you tonight. But the main point is we're excited about customers coming on board into CloudIQ, full support for Unity, and customers who are interested in early access can email that address if they're interested in participating, and I can reach out to them.